Well, Andrew, it's a pleasure to meet you. May I start this short interview by asking how old you are and whereabouts in the United Kingdom you come from?
Well, I'm 15 and I live in Chesterfield.
Thank you for that. Now, please tell us about the serious illness that you contracted recently in the last few years. What was the illness, and give us the background to how you discovered you'd actually contracted this illness.
Well, I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia in September 2012, and I was diagnosed at the Sheffield Children's Hospital. And I originally thought that I wasn't very well during the summer holidays in 2012, when I was feeling very lazy and very tired, and that wasn't usual for me because I'm usually quite a sporty boy, really. And so then we went for a blood test actually the day before I was supposed to go back to school, and they rang us back in 2 hours and said, we want you to go to the hospital in Chesterfield. And then we went over and I spent the night actually in Chesterfield while they did some extra blood tests, and then they transferred me over to Sheffield the next day where I was diagnosed with leukemia.
I understand Mum was quite insistent that you had a blood test, which is a good thing on reflection, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely, because a lot of people have quite a difficult time getting diagnosed because it's so rare that you get diagnosed with such quite a bad illness. But my mum knew something wasn't quite right, and originally she actually thought I had glandular fever, and so she was insisting I had a blood test just so we knew what it was that was wrong with me. But in the end it was actually quite a good thing, and that definitely helped, because I think if we'd waited much longer it could have had quite bad effects really, which is such a good thing.
Andrew, I also understand that acute myeloid leukemia is something that normally impacts older people, but in your case, just a young lad.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's generally common in older men, and being only a 15-year-old boy, it's quite a surprise, with the two types of leukemia being acute myeloid leukemia, which is the one I had, and the other one being acute lymphoblastic leukemia, which is more common in 2 or 3-year-old children. So with being a teenager getting leukemia is quite a shock really, especially when it's so rare.
Now, we all appreciate the treatments for that type of illness are very serious and take a long time, but just for the benefit of people who are watching this video, give us an overview of the treatment process, what you actually went through.
Well, initially I had 3 courses of chemotherapy at the Children's Hospital, and that was from the day I got diagnosed in September through to early December, and those were 3 high-dose courses of chemotherapy, and they obviously made me feel very ill and very tired, and I had lots of bad effects. I was sick really often, and it's just all my hair fell out and lots of nosebleeds, and it's sometimes you feel that the treatment might be worse than the illness, but it's definitely not. And then they actually discovered that I had a different type of mutation in my leukemia, which meant that I had to have a bone marrow transplant. So they waited over Christmas time, and then in January they started another high dose course of chemotherapy, and then on the 25th of January 2013 I had my bone marrow transplant, and that was quite a difficult process to go through actually, because I had a month in isolation in the hospital room with only my mum, my dad and my brother, and all the nurses allowed to come in and see me and come in and stay with me in the room, because I had to be so protected from illnesses, because it was so common for me to pick them up at that point, and they could have been very dangerous, and so that was very difficult. But also I knew I was very lucky, because to get a match is really difficult, and I got a 10 out of 10 match, which gave us a lot of hope, knowing that I could go forward and get better from it, because it's really quite rare that you'd get such a good match, and I did, and I was really thankful for that.
Now, I appreciate the person that actually donated the bone marrow has the right to remain anonymous. You don't know who this person is, but you know a little bit about them. What can you tell us?
Well, we know that they're a 23-year-old female, and we think they live in London, but we don't know, and I think that's all we're allowed to know really about them, because they like to keep it anonymous just to protect both sides of it in case anything was to go wrong. But you're not even allowed like photographs or names or anything like that, but I don't really need that. I just need to know that I'm thankful for what they did for me, and that's quite a special thing, and that's quite a lot of thanks goes to the Anthony Nolan Trust for that. But also I think even more to the Children's Hospital, because they're only one of 4 specialist children cancer units I think in the UK, and I think that what they do is just fantastic.
I appreciate you're never actually going to meet this 23-year-old lady, but when you're alone with your thoughts now, Andrew, what sort of thoughts of gratitude do you have towards that lady?
All I think I can really feel is how grateful I am to them. I can't really say that I think they're a nice person because I'm never going to meet them, and I'm okay with that because I just know that they're obviously a great person, because to give bone marrow is obviously quite a hard ordeal. I mean, you have to have weeks off work, it's very painful taking bone marrow as well, and you don't get any money for it, you don't get any sort of payment, but I suppose it's just the only reason you would think to do it is because you know that you're saving someone's life, and I think that's probably quite special to them, and it definitely helps me.
I had the privilege of keeping an eye on you through your very popular Facebook page, Support for Andrew. I remember seeing you lose your hair. Look at me, I lost my hair and I've got no chance of mine coming back, but yours is thriving now, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm just glad it came back so well, and it was originally much blonder and much thinner, but it's grown back thicker, and that's quite common when you've had chemotherapy, and often it comes back curly, but it was never much of a problem really for me not having hair, because I didn't really care how people saw me at that point. It's just, you just take it on the chin no matter what.
Andrew, tell us where you are now in the treatment and the recovery process.
Well, I've finished all my treatment now for leukemia. Obviously the bone marrow transplant, they want to just leave that and let that grow and let that stay as healthy as possible, and obviously it's working quite well. And I think the only part of sort of treatment I'd say I'm having now is I'm having my vaccinations again, because you obviously have to be revaccinated after being quite ill, because my immune system is now gone altogether, so I'm being revaccinated for my baby vaccinations currently. And apart from that, I'm pretty much there treatment-wise and recovery-wise. I'd say, apart from, I still feel quite tired quite often, and that's quite common still, obviously, with the treatment I've had. But apart from that, I'd say I'm nearly back to normal, apart from, obviously, my fitness, which I used to have much higher. But apart from that, I'd say I'm pretty well. Over
time, you'll get there, I'm sure, though.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm pretty sure if I keep going, then I'm sure I will.
In terms of your ongoing assessments, health assessments, how frequent will they take place going forward?
Well, originally after my bone marrow transplant, I was going back into hospital for clinic appointments twice a week, and obviously going back and forth to Sheffield was quite difficult. But now I actually went to hospital the other day, and after a 2-month break, and now they've said you're fine, so you can come back in 3 months. So the gap's getting bigger and bigger each time, which is obviously really positive, because that means that you're healthy, otherwise they'd want to see you. So it gives you quite a boost knowing each time they increase the gap from when they want to see you. And although it's quite strange to say that, because you might want reassurance going back to hospital and knowing you're okay, it's also they know you're going to be okay, so that's quite nice.
Thank you, Andrew. Now, the purpose of this video is obviously to give the background to your story, but also to raise awareness, because we're looking to help you in one of your challenges, which is to raise a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
I know that you want to help Sheffield Children's Hospital, who've given you so much love, care and specialist help. Specifically, how do you want to help Sheffield Children's?
Well, I'm hoping to raise £150,000 for the hospital charity, which is the amount that my bone marrow transplant cost. And I obviously know it's a lot of money, but I just feel it's all I have to do to sort of repay them, because they've done so much for me. And that money will go in through my fund in the hospital. And my fund, half of the money goes to the ward M3 where I was treated, and that'll help to get new beds, new equipment, and just help keep up to date with all the newest drugs. And I know just how important that is, and leukemia research. And obviously the treatment now is far better than it was 30 years ago, but still it can be improved. All the side effects that I had were massive. I mean, my hair fell out, I was being sick 5 times a day. It was quite hard, and sometimes you actually feel that the treatment can be worse than the illness. But if we keep doing research, then they'll eventually find better ways, and that will help even more. And hopefully one day it'll be a disease that you can just click your fingers and it'll be gone, like the common cold.
Through that process, Andrew, obviously you were a young boy still at school. How did your education get impacted, and what did you do to stay in stride with the curriculum at school?
Well, I was in year 9 throughout the year that I was ill, and obviously that's not one of the most important years, but going into year 10, I mean, you need the knowledge and everything like that. So I tried to go to the hospital school, which they have there, and obviously with it being a children's hospital, it's more based around primary schools, but they do have teachers there that can cope with me, and that's very helpful. And I tried to go in as often as I could and as often I felt well, but I think I did most of my schoolwork when I got home after being ill and my recovery, because when I was in hospital I wasn't really well enough to do anything, which is why I was there. So I'm still trying to catch up the work I missed from year 9 now, which is obviously quite a long way back, but I'm still in the year I was originally, which is something that's quite positive for me, because being so ill and having pretty much a year off school it's quite hard to get back into it, but I managed to keep in the same year, which is quite important for me.
Well, Andrew, the Child Foundation will be pleased to make a donation to contribute towards that admirable objective of you trying to raise £150,000 to cover the cost of your treatment. As you know, one of the things we're going to be doing first of all is staging a charity football match. This video, hopefully over the course of the next month, will be watched by quite a lot of people. What message would you like to send out to the people watching this video? People who've got the power to make a donation, come to the charity football match, and ultimately, in your case, provide support to Sheffield Children's. What message do you have for people?
Well, I'd just urge them to give as much money as they can, or just support, or anything they can do to help the hospital, just do it, because it really goes underappreciated, the kind of thing they do, because it quite often takes an event such as someone having a serious illness that you know or that you know of for you to give money. I don't think it really should. I think that you should always give money to a charity like this, because it's so special, and the work that they do is just, it's like no other charity. It's very special, and I think you should try and keep helping to improve that, and then hopefully you can help make the hospital even better than it already is.
Well, Andrew, I think you're a very special young man, and you're certainly an inspiration to me, and I'm sure you'll be an inspiration to a lot of other people. So thank you for taking time to talk to us this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much.